if you've following the draft, I think we all know who the consensus one has been Bijan Robinson. So, John, is he your number one, or are you gonna shock us all here?
I'm not going to shock anybody. Bijan Robinson, my number one running back in the class. I will be taking him in our Dynasty League unless he has a surprise Achilles tear that I don't know about. That would be the only thing that would change that. But yeah, Bijan Robinson, my number one running back in the class. And once again, I say this all the time, and I have to really say this year because I have coworkers, friends. I live in Austin, Texas, and the guy went to UT. He is a Longhorn, and so I have a lot of people who are very hyped about Bijan Robinson. And in the fantasy leagues that I'm in with those people, he's probably going to go a lot higher or more expensive in auction leagues than he probably should, just because of the school that he went to and the relation to those people. But anyway, regardless, he's my number one running back in the class. 5'11", he weighs 215, so ideal size. He ran a 4.46 40, so ideal 40 time. 37-inch vertical, which is really strong. Just everything in terms of the measurables, he's got it, right? So really strong player. I've gotten to see him play live in person multiple times. So I think that helps too with my evaluation compared to some of these other guys. The thing that really stood out to me about Bijan when I did get to see him play in person was he's really good at changing direction in tight spaces and then accelerating incredibly quickly to his top end speed right after that. So he's good at doing that. He also, once again, just a very well-rounded athlete. So he's not just speed and quickness, but he can also do the power running when he needs to. He can do receiving when he needs to. He can do all of the above. He's a decent blocker. He's a willing blocker. So overall, Bijan Robinson, he is the number one running back for me in the class. I do want to make an interesting comparison because I think it's a little interesting because I think more people this year are higher on him than they were Breece Hall last year. Personally, I think Breece Hall was the better prospect. That's just me. Some people might disagree. I think the one thing that I don't have the numbers to back this up, but I think maybe the one thing that Bijan might have over Breece Hall is that I'm assuming Bijan has shared more throughout college because he had Roschon Johnson and some of these other different running backs in Texas, to where Breece Hall didn't really have any notable names with him. So maybe Breece Hall had a ton more mileage on the tires, which for running back is very important. But yeah, I just did want to throw out that little comparison there last year because you know how high I was on Breece Hall. Drafted him in every fantasy league I possibly could. And I don't know if that'll be possible with Bijan this year because I do think he's a little bit more hyped than Breece was. But yeah, regardless, he's my number one running back in the class. Very obvious, like superstar running back in the making. You put him on a team, whatever team he goes to, he's going to be impactful. He's going to be a day one starter. He's going to be in, like I said, in your fantasy leagues, plug and play kind of an option. So yeah, Bijan Robinson, he's a stud.
Yes, he is. And he is also my number one as well. Not much else to add on what you mentioned. I mean, can do it all, you name it. No real weaknesses to his game. I will throw this out. You mentioned you're anti-first round. Do you want to ask a question? Like, does that mean like even end of first round? Like I'm seeing him mocked a lot to like the Bills. I know obviously you've probably seen a lot to the Cowboys, but like I feel like that may be the range he could realistically go in. Is that something that you would be like, if you were the GM or on that organization, you'd be okay with, or you still feel pretty solidly no, wait till second round on him?
I mean, like I always understand it when teams in that back, like when the Chiefs took Clyde Edwards-Helaire, for example, I get it, right? Like, because when you're in that like bottom 8 range, you don't really need much, right? So at that point, you know, like a running back, they actually might be the best available player on the board. Like that just might be how it is. And so I wouldn't be upset if a team did. That said, personally, once again, I just still think there's too much valuable like running backs in the later rounds that if you really think that like I don't know, I just think that you could maybe even trade back. Like you could trade back into the early second round, pick up another draft pick or something. Like I just think there's other options that some of those teams could do. So personally, if I was a GM, I never would. If a GM wants to, I understand it if they want to take a running back at the back half of the first round, especially considering that you get that extra option and flexibility with the contract stuff.
Yeah, the fifth year option
could be
so maybe
Yeah, which could be important because with the running back position, you know, they have a very limited lifespan. So just getting that 5 years on the rookie contract could, you know, be good, and then you let them walk. But regardless, yeah, no, personally, I just think that I'd rather. I bring up this analogy all the time with the draft. It's like a dartboard. The more darts you have, the more likely you are to hit a bullseye. I think that drafting a running back in the first round is like you're taking 3 steps closer to the dartboard and then throwing it. Like, yeah, it's definitely easier to get a good player, but I'd rather personally try and get like a superstar at a different position than a superstar running back. And although the running back might be easier to get, I think that the other positions might be worth more points. So
yeah. So it's just curious. Yeah, I'll be interested. Very interesting to see. You know, we'll do our mocks obviously. So that'll be interesting to see if, you know, one of us. Well, spoiler. It seems like John's not going to, but something as I'm trying to formulate my mock mentally. You know, it's a question in my mind, and I've already seen him in a few. So, and we'll obviously have to see if it happens in reality. But.
Also, just random note on the Bills, because I even fell into this trap many times in the past in some of our mock drafts. It seems like every year the Bills get mocked a running back in the first round, and then they just take one in the third round. Yeah. I mean, it happened, I think, literally all the last 3 years. Wasn't Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, and James Cook all were like third or fourth round picks?
Yeah, I know they were.
And I'm pretty sure each of those years, it was like, oh, they're going to take ETN, or they're going to take whoever the heck, Breece Hall, you know, all these running backs. Yeah, it's like everybody thinks they're going to be the team that takes a running back in the first round, and then they go take like another corner or defensive lineman or whoever, and then they take a running back later. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe the Bills will, but running back is just always such that weird position where it's like, with Bijan specifically, once again, I've had a lot of conversations with some of my UT fan friends where I'm like, you can sit there and hope that he goes to the Bills, but in reality, he's going to sit there and go to some random team like the Atlanta Falcons, and like that's just how it's going to be.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, most likely too, because the thing about style of offense, just regards that style of offense, like Bills are very pass heavy. I don't know. Would you want to invest a first round pick, you know, in a running back, or, you know, like you mentioned, maybe offensive line, or, you know, they've done defense and maybe wide receiver. So. Yeah, it's just.
I mean, I think they should definitely try to get the run game going, but that's another story.
I'm right with you, but yeah, that's a whole other can of worms. We'll open up another time. But anyway, last point I want to mention, because I know, like, once again, he's number one running back prospect, kind of unanimously. But I maybe this is just people overblowing stuff because it's, you know, it's kind of a slow news period. But I saw like people kind of giving him the Saquon comparisons, and I just want to say personally, I think while Bijan's amazing, not as amazing as Saquon coming out, which is obviously why. I mean, I know Saquon, you feel he was a little bit overdrafted. Was he at 2, if I remember correctly, right, that year? By the Giants?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was 2nd overall.
Yeah,
which is kind of wild.
Yeah, but like, I just want to, okay, just for a preference, if that same prospect, like Saquon Barkley, for some reason time machine skipped and he's in this draft class, obviously I'd have him above Bijan, and he would be the only one I would personally definitely say, okay, he's going to be in the first round, just, you know, mid to late. But I just want to point that out because there are, you know, some of the comparisons as, you know, to him, Adrian Peterson and stuff. And obviously we have to see with Bijan Robinson, tough to evaluate too, because Texas, I saw not the best offensive line either, and, you know, the Big 12's not they're getting better at defense, but run defense is not, you know, a thing because they usually don't run the ball there at the Big 12 for football. So just an important note I kind of want to throw in just to kind of cool the hype on him. But yeah, regardless, he's going to be a fun guy to watch, and it will be definitely interesting to see where he goes.